A single low-margin job will not kill your business. In fact, taking a low-paying job on a slow day is sometimes the exact right call. Some income is better than zero income. The real danger isn't one bad job. That's when those jobs quietly become a pattern that eats your entire week alive. And right now, thousands of small business owners are actively paying to go to work because of it, without even knowing it. Earlier this year, I was digging through the financial reports of our plumbing business. I noticed a pattern that made me worry. On our hot water installations, we were hitting a 44% gross margin. Our absolute floor to survive is 65%. If that happens once, it's fine, but it wasn't happening once. We actually had 4-5 jobs recently at that margin. So I put the numbers right in front of my partner, Dan. He's got 12 years of experience. He's a master plumber. And I asked him, are you still taking those jobs? He looked at me and said, well, it's better than nothing. That sentence right there is the silent killer of small businesses. Psychologists at the Wharton School call this action bias. Human beings naturally prefer doing something, even if it's counterproductive, over doing nothing. One day with zero income feels like failing. Your mortgage is on the line, so you panic hire yourself out. But then I asked Dan one more question. If you installed one hot water unit per day, every day for a whole week, would you be happy to pay to work for 5 days straight? He went completely quiet. And that silence is exactly what this video is about. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you on a screen record how I check our numbers at Wakeline Plumbing. It takes no more than 5 minutes, and I'll share with you in the description below this video a basic price tracker we use to check our jobs against our floor margin. And you can use it in your business. But first, you need to understand why pricing problem has nothing to do with numbers and everything to do with psychology. Most small business owners don't underprice because they sat down one day and chose the wrong number. They underprice because their current price feels like reality. I had a previous boss, incredibly smart, hard-worked woman. She ran a small business for years, constantly working, keeping the lights on, but never getting ahead. When we finally sat down and looked at the numbers properly, her margin was negative, not low, negative. She had been losing money on her core service for years. She wasn't careless. The price she charged just felt like what you charge because everyone around you is charging the same. So the belief driving her price was completely invisible to her. And the science explains exactly why our brain does this. In his book, Predictably Irrational, Dan Ariely explains that humans rarely calculate the true value of the work in absolute terms. Instead, we rely on psychological shortcuts and anchors. And here's the trap. Research shows you anchor your business prices to your personal bank account, your lifestyle, your income, your history with money. So if your internal reference is low, your prices stay low. Not because the math says so, because your brain is comfortable there. It gets worse. A study published in the National Library of Medicine shows that people with lower occupational self-esteem systematically underprice their services. Why? Because a higher number feels like a statement about your personal worth. And making that statement feels vulnerable. The price stops being a business decision. It becomes a referendum on whether you deserve it or not. I see these all the time with tradies with 20 years experience who are terrified to charge what a brand new competitor charges without hesitation. They discount their time before the client even opens their mouth. The anticipation of pushback is enough to make them fold. When I was talking to Dan about our low margins, he gave me the classic line, Patty, every plumber out there charges the same rate. We have to match, otherwise we're going to lose jobs. I understand that logic. The fear of losing work is real, but here's what I told him. We don't know their numbers. Data from Guidance Financial shows that only about 57% of small businesses are currently profitable. That means 4 out of 10 of the competitors you are terrified of losing a job to are actively losing money to. The market price isn't healthy. It's just common. So stop comparing your business to a sinking ship. How do you actually know if your pricing is working? Again, you don't look at individual jobs. Individual jobs will always vary. In our business, for example, if we take 3 low margin jobs, but our standard services pull the rest of the week up to a 72% average, our pricing is working. The average absorbs the heat. The danger is when those low margin jobs start taking up more and more of our schedule. The moment our weekly average starts drifting down towards 65% and lower, that's the moment when we act. A full week at 44% margin is not a slow week. It's a week where we paid to go to work. And the only way to catch it before it becomes a habit is to look at our weekly average every single week without flinching. Here's exactly how we do it at Wakeline Plumbing. This is Wakeline Plumbing Solutions Field app, and this is what I mean by watching your margin closely. So here we have our jobs displayed in a table. Each row is one job. The numbers that matters most are those ones here. So the total charge, total spend, which is materials only for that specific job. And then we have gross profit in dollar amount, and then we have the gross margin as a percentage. And right here we already have a red flag. So this job is sitting at 34.5% margin. Our floor is 65%, so this job is way below our floor. But look at the other jobs around it. They are all above 65%, which is great. So those healthier numbers are pulling the average up, bringing our weekly margin to 57.4%. Now, 57.4% is still below our 65% floor. So this week is not ideal, but stay with me because the next part shows you exactly why I'm not worried. Here we have the financials, and this is where it really matters. So we start with the weekly view, and you can see here the net profit, the gross profit, all the income streams that add up to our total. Then we have the GST collected, and below that, all the expenses that are not directly related to job materials.
okay? And then in this number here, it's the same as the previous table view. This week, we're sitting at 57.4% margin below our floor of 65. So this week has not finished yet, but it's not looking great. Now, is it a problem? Well, not necessarily. And here's why. When I switch to the monthly view, I can see the average for the whole month of June, even with one bad week pulling it down. This month is sitting at 68%. So 3% above our floor, which means the month is absorbing the bad week. So even if we cannot bring this week above 65, the month can hold it. And then we check the year, because this is the number that tells you the real story of the business. So year to date, we are at 76.9% margin against our floor of 65%. So we're in a very healthy position. So here's the way I think about it. A bad week can be saved by a good month. A bad month can be saved by a strong year. But if your margin is below the floor for a whole year, that's no longer a pricing problem. That's a structural problem. And that investigation needs to go much deeper than just pricing alone.
That's the whole system. It's not complicated. What makes it work is the habit of looking at it every Monday before the week starts. If you want to build the exact same thing, the prompt to ask Claude to help you to set it up is in the description below. And also the tracker that I told you in the beginning of this video. The next video is about what happens after your pricing is working, because fixing your margin is only the first layer, and there is a bigger trap right underneath it that most owners never see until it's too late. I'm Patty Matos. I run real businesses and I share what I wish I had known. Subscribe if this is the kind of honest conversation you've been looking for. I'll see you in the next one.